Learning how to code is both a blessing and a curse. On one end of the spectrum, it is a blessing because when you learn how to code, you get the opportunity to learn a very high-paying job and ultimately live a very comfortable life. And in fact, if you love coding and that is part of your daily job, that is quite a rewarding career, to be fair. On the other hand of the spectrum, it is actually like a curse because it is an endless gateway to bringing new ideas to life, that is starting a new project every single day or every single week. The problem with us developers is that we think every problem can be solved through code. If a normal person wants to organize their tasks and come up with a timetable or a schedule, you're just going to go to maybe Google Docs or open Microsoft Word and just write down your schedule or your daily routine. But here is how a programmer thinks or how a developer thinks. I need to organize myself. So I can come up with a program which helps me organize myself by using AI to automate the organization, and I'll have less work to do in the long run but more work in the short run. Here, you see what the developer just did there. Instead of just trying to come up with a normal routine on a piece of paper or a program that already exists, they go out of their way to come up with a new idea that nobody is probably gonna need and create a new project and spend countless hours developing that idea. But now the problem is that most of the time the idea never even comes to completion, because while they are doing this idea, they realize that it's actually a bad idea, and immediately after that they come up with another idea. So the fact that developers are able to quickly put in ideas together and start developing and working on them actually gives them the freedom to not limit themselves when trying to come up with new ideas, so having ideas every single time. Imagine that for every problem you could think of, you could start working on the solution right away. And now there are problems every single day. It means if there are problems every single day, that is a new idea you can implement to solve that problem. And who says idea says new project. That is why developers always have new projects they start and never finish. But now we have located the problem. Now how do you do to stop having countless ideas and starting new projects and actually focusing just on one project? Okay, now what are the steps you can take as a developer to actually start being able to focus just on one project? Here are 5 actionable steps you can take today to do this, and these are things I do myself when starting a new project. And for the past 2 years, I can confidently say that I've worked only on 3 projects, and I was able to launch all the 3 projects and, let me not say finish the project, but reach to a point where it's actually usable and it's at the point where it can be an MVP. So the first one is, before you start a project, try to think if the project is actually important to you and if it's actually a right thing for you to do. Ask yourself, does it really align with your personal goals and interests? I want you to listen to this. There are thousands of projects you can start now at this very moment, but not all those 1,000 projects are meant for you to start at this moment. You might be at a point in your life where there are certain things you can't do, there are certain projects which are maybe too big for you to do, and maybe there are other projects that are way beyond your reach. So starting a project will just make you stop along the way and see another project. So what you should do is that you should try to hop on a project that you can actually do with the skills you have at the moment or with the resources you have at the moment. For example, don't start a banking app if you're a full-time student or you're not willing to go full in on that project, because banking apps usually have regulations that are beyond just programming, because here you're dealing with people's money, so you can't just sit at home and code your way up to building and shipping the app. There are way more things you should do, so that might be beyond your scope at the moment. There are many other projects you can do which can fit within your schedule and you can actually finish them. So try to locate those projects, put in all the other projects you can't do and focus on the one you can do at the moment. The second thing you should do, and which I always do when starting a new project, is to have tunnel vision. The thing with being able to bring your ideas to life through code is that it's very exciting, and at one moment you feel like a little god. But you are not a god. You should have tunnel vision, that is, you should only be able to see one path within one project. It is not really easy to focus on one thing. That is why it's very important for you to have tunnel vision once you've picked out that project you want to develop. That is, you should block out all the distractions, you should block out all possibilities of starting another project and just see that project you've started as the way, the truth, and the life. And that project is the only way you can succeed. Yeah, it's a little bit delusional and it's a little bit let's say too restricting, but that is the mindset you need to develop for you to be able to stick to one project, because there are too many distractions nowadays, so many nice ideas, so many great things to do. But if you want to finish that project and bring it to a level where you can actually launch it and have an MVP, you should think that this is the one, this is the final thing I will do in my life. Yeah, if you don't think that way, you'll obviously get distracted along the way and start another new project and keep asking yourself, why I'm always starting a project, I mean the cycle will just continue. The third thing you need to do is something very basic that many people overlook, which is not only for developers but for every other aspect of their life, is to have a plan. This sounds very basic, but it's very important if you want to one day finish any sort of project in this world. And when I say have a plan, the plan mustn't be very specific or very detailed. The plan can be a very vague plan, but it's very important that the plan should have a clear beginning and a clear end, or a clear goal. Your plan shouldn't include what you're going to do every single day. Your plan just needs to have what I'm going to do today in order to start and what I want to see at the end. When you reach the end may not be what you had at the plan to begin with, but when you already have that plan, it's a stepping stone for you to do greater things and for you to always keep in mind what you have to do when you try to go astray or try to stray away from the initial plan. So always plan out what you want your project to be, how you want it to end, and how you want it to go on. Then just keep on working on the project, and eventually you can always modify the plan, but having the base plan to begin with is extremely important. The fourth one is something I always do, and it's something that is obviously really important. It's always having little milestones and keeping the project very small. The thing when I say finishing a project, you can't really finish a project because even Facebook today isn't done. They always work on Facebook, they always adding new features, so a project isn't really ever finished. But when you're starting out the project, you need to set a clear end to the project or a clear milestone that you're going to be like, okay, I've reached this point, now I can move to the next point. Or okay, I've reached this point, now I can take a break. That is the point of setting milestones. And when you set very little milestones, it helps you get a sense of achievement. And this sense of achievement is very important when doing anything, be it development or anything in life. Because when you're not able to reach a goal, when you're not able to achieve something, you feel like you're failing. You're not failing, but that's how you feel. And the feeling of failure is very unpleasant to every human being. So you want to print out the fact that you can win in your brain, and achieving something actually feels like you are winning, and winning makes you want to win more. So setting little milestones helps you achieve the milestones more easily and helps you set greater milestones because you want to win more. For example, when I was building my social media app, my first goal was just to make a login screen. When I was able to make a login screen between 1 or 2 hours, now I can set another milestone, and when I reach that milestone, that is maybe implementing the like function, that is when a user likes a post. Once I implement that, I see that my user can like a post, I'm really happy. It feels like I've won. It feels like I've accomplished something. Now it gives me additional momentum and additional motivation to continue the project. Whereas if my milestone that, okay, let me start this social media project and ship it to the Play Store, it would take me so much time to ship it to the Play Store that by the time already implementing the like button, I feel like there is just so much more to do, and I might get discouraged and I might look for another project to do, and that is a point I don't want to get at. So I regulate my brain and give myself certain rewards, that is achieving certain things that is going to make my brain want to do more. And the final thing for me that I do on a regular basis that is to work on things that I'm very interested at the start of the project. I'm a full stack developer, but honestly I prefer working on front end stuff. I just like seeing how the app or the website is coming to life and looks beautiful, because I'm able to see how the user or the customer is going to be able to enjoy the visuals, because that's all they care about. They just care about the visuals. They don't care about your fancy algorithm in the backend or your fancy AI you took months to implement. All they care about is the UI. So I take my time and I really enjoy developing the UI and designing it. So that's what I start with in the project, so it can actually give me that extra momentum to keep going, so that when I reach the backend, I can just turn around and say, okay, the front end is done. Now I can go on the boring part, that is the back end. The back end might be the exciting part for you, so if that's your exciting part, you better start off with that. But I start with the front end so that I can keep having this momentum to keep going anytime I get discouraged. So because the most important thing when working on a project is keeping the momentum going. Never disrespect your momentum. So create the momentum in the first place, create systems to maintain that momentum, so anytime you want to get discouraged, you remember that, okay, I just finished this part that was exciting, so I can keep going and reach another part that is even more exciting. So you want to play some mind tricks with your brain and with your mind, so you can keep being interested in the project even when it feels like, okay, let me stop and work on another thing. So these are the 5 things I did, and you can start implementing it as early as now. And honestly, I try to implement all these in all other projects of my life, because I have several other projects outside of being a developer. I have this YouTube channel, for example, example, that I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to provide value off of, and I try to implement these same things because YouTube is a creative platform, and who says creativity says new ideas on a daily basis. So implementing these strategies even on my YouTube channel helps me be focused on the type of YouTube videos I want to implement. So I hope this video was very helpful. If it was, leave a like. If it wasn't, tell me why in the comment section. And if you want to see me make any video about any other topic, let me know in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.